Welcome back to another episode of ROC Boys Football, continuing with our 2022 season previews as we're taking a look at the App State Mountaineers. My pick to win the Sun Belt this year, it seems really wide open. You look at some of the better teams in the conference last year. Coastal Carolina loses an astonishing amount of production. Louisiana loses a lot, but they also lose their head coach. They lose their quarterback. And so App State kind of seems like the team who was kind of waiting in the wings last year. They played for the conference championship, but I think they're the team that kind of returns the most important pieces to this team. They obviously lose a couple guys like DeMarco Jackson on the defense side of the ball, a lot of the pass catchers, but they return a lot of the fundamental pieces that led to their success last year. Now, before we get into it, I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support you guys have shown the channel. If you guys want to support the channel, consider subscribing to the channel, liking the video, commenting. Almost 990 subscribers on the channel. The support it's just meant a lot. It's been really fun to talk with you guys about college football in the comment section. So if you guys do like the content, consider subscribing. But for now, let's start talking some App State football. We'll start on the offensive side of the ball here. Chase Bryce returns. We obviously know the one-time Clemson quarterback who was backing up Trevor Lawrence. He goes to Duke. Duke's a dumpster fire. And then he found some success at App State this year, completing 62% of his balls, 330 yards passing, 27 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. He's an efficient quarterback. He's accurate. He's got the arm strength. One thing I would say is that I would like to see a little less turnovers. I mean, they don't ask him to do much. They do lean on the run game. 11 turnovers. I mean, they went 10-4 with being -4 in the turnover margin. That's 91st nationally. I mean, that's awfully impressive to be that successful in the win-loss column while losing the turnover battle like they did. And so if they can kind of cut back those turnovers, I think they're probably the best team in the Sun Belt here. The main concern is the wide receivers that were used, and kind of the three main wide receivers are all gone. Thomas Hennigan, a guy that I feel like's been there for 8 years. Malik Williams and then Sutton also gone. Those are really talented guys on the outside. They were Chase Bryce's favorite targets. And now you're kind of looking for replacing all three of them. That's a lot of turnover in 1 year. But you have some guys you can step up. Deshaun Davis, Christian Wells. They also get Caden Robinson from UCF. There's not much to talk about because a lot of these guys haven't really played too much football. And so hopefully you got a couple guys from whatever, and you got 4, 5, 6 guys that you're excited about. And just you got to find a few of them that are going to step up. You also get Henry Pearson back at the tight end spot, which will be good. I mean, we all know the quarterback's best friend is a good tight end. Henry Pearson is a very solid tight end in the Sun Belt Conference. And so Chase Bryce can kind of have at least a little bit of the safety blanket, at least a little familiarity with one of his pass catchers rolling into the 2022 season. Now, what is really a quarterback's best friend? What's really a passing game's best friend is a good running attack. And they had one of the best running attacks last year. Top 25 rushing offense in the country. And it starts off with not just two of the better backs in the conference. I mean, these guys are two of the better backs nationally. We'll start with Cameron Peoples, the bruiser back, the 6'2", 220-pound guy. He gets downhill. He wants all the smoke, but he also has some good breakaway speed. But I just love watching him. He's a no-nonsense runner. He's going to go north and south, and he's going to hit a body, and he's going to fall forward. He's very physical. He's very big. And then you balance him out with a little smaller guy like Nate Noel, who is incredibly shifty. He is great in open space. He's got good contact balance. Average 5.7 yards per carry, went for almost 1,200 yards last year. I mean, this dude is really special. I wouldn't mind seeing them get some more passes on the edge stand because I think he can be good in space. They didn't really seem to use that from the games that I watched, but I do think it could be part of his game that could really provide some juice for that offense. And so you got two really good running backs that you feel really good about. Chase Bryce can also move himself. It's not his game, but he can do it. And then you return a really good offensive line. 4 out of 5 returning starters. 2 really good tackles. Cooper Hodges, Anderson Hardy, 2 guys who are all conference level tackles. And that's the most important. On the interior, it's pretty easy to plug and play guys. But on the outside, it takes a special level of that quickness and that strength to play the tackle position. And you got 2 returning tackles who have proven to play at a high level at the Sun Belt Conference and nationally. That's got to make you feel, excuse me, that's got to make you feel really confident heading into the 2022 season. And so for the overall outlook on this offense is I think they got to lean on the run game. You got two of the best running backs in the conference. You got a really good offensive line. That's going to free up some space in the back end for your new wide receivers to work because it's a lot of turnover in the passing game. Chase Price is good, but he's throwing to a couple of guys that he haven't really played much football. So you lean on the run game, kind of open up some windows in the passing game. I think that's a good recipe for App State to have a very good offense and a very methodical and efficient offense. Staying on the field, having those long drives, giving your defense a long blow. I think that's really important. I think that's what App State, I think that's what they're going to go to. And so looking over at the defense side of the ball, I mean, you got to start with just talking about the loss of DeMarco Jackson. As many of you guys know who are friends of the channel, we do a lot of we do a lot of NFL draft content. We look at a lot of NFL draft prospects. DeMarco Jackson was one of my favorite linebackers to look at. Thought he was very underrated. I mean, 20 tackles for a loss, 120 total tackles. He was all over the field for that App State defense, and he's going to be really hard to return or really hard to replace. Now, we're going to start at the defensive line because I think that is the most important aspect of a college football defense is being able to get pressures, being able to get sacks. And it's going to start with Nick Hampton. Now, they play this like 3-4 scheme, and Nick Hampton's more normally that standing outside linebacker. But man, was he good last year. 17 and a half tackles for loss, 11 sacks. That is most in program history in the FBS era, sixth most in program history in total. I mean, that's generational pass rush ability out of Hampton. And he's going to be a guy that they really, really got to lean on to get those QB pressures, to get those sacks, to get those tackles for a loss. I mean, good things happen when you have negative plays. You get off the field and you turn the ball over. And that's two things that I think is a good recipe for having a good defense. You look at that linebacker spot. Obviously, we talked about the loss of DeMarco Jackson. Really can't be understated. Having an eraser linebacker like Jackson was for App State last year it means a lot to a defense. But you have a guy like Trey Cobb who comes back, 72 tackles, 6 of those were for a loss. He also has 2 interceptions. He can play, or 3 interceptions. Check that. He can play in space really well. He's a good open field tackler. He's going to need to step up. He's going to have an all-conference year because DeMarco Jackson's gone, and he's really the only returning backer that you really feel comfortable about on the inside. And in the secondary, a guy like Stephen Jones is an absolute stud, and he's coming back, and that's a massive get. He's going to be a super senior, I believe. It's going to be a 6th year. Last year, 5 interceptions, 8 passes defended. Very, very sticky. He's got good ball skills. He's physical. Kind of checks all the boxes that you look for in a cornerback, and I put him on my draft board because I was really impressed when I was watching back some of those App State games. This dude could play, and he can play at a high level. You also get a guy like Ryan Huff back, 2 interceptions. It should be a good unit. When you have an eraser cornerback like Stephen Jones can be in the Sun Belt, you got to feel really good about your secondary. You're obviously losing a couple guys. I think Sean Jolly's gone. He's a good ball player. But having a guy like Stephen Jones who's an absolute alpha, I think will really, really help that team. And so what we do to kind of finish off our previews is we're going to take a little bit of look at their schedule because it's a hard schedule, but it's also it's an exciting schedule if you're App State fans. I mean, when you're playing in the Group of 5 conference, you gotta love when you get to play some really, really good teams. And if you get UNC coming to Boone on September 3rd, Boone's on my bucket list to go and watch. I mean, that they get rowdy. I'm a Wake Forest fan, so I've seen games at Boone, and it just is an electric atmosphere. You guys care about football a lot there. It's so close to the field. I don't know. It's on my bucket list to go out and check, but this is a great opening game because UNC's replacing Sam Howell. They don't even know who their starting quarterback is going to be week 1. And so he's coming in on whoever's starting. It's going to be their first career start. He's coming in on the road. They have a lot of roster turnover. Very, very gettable game for App State. Could start 1-0. I really would red Sharpie this. I think this could be a big upset. Second week of the season, you play Texas A&M on the road. That one is hard to see you guys coming out with a win, quite frankly. But again, it's exciting to get your guys going on the road to play in College Station, Kyle Field. One of the most exciting places to play. Like, that will be a sweet game. And then you get into your in-conference games. And again, I said this when we started. I don't think there's a single team that's better than App State in the Sun Belt this year. Troy at home, James Madison, the jump up from the FCS level. You should take care of them. The Citadel should be taken care of. Texas State, Georgia State, Robert Morris. And then your big game against probably Coastal, Marshall. Coastal and Marshall. You don't play Louisiana. Coastal Carolina is losing a ton of guys. That's going to be a Thursday night on the road. It's going to be a tough environment. But again, Coastal Carolina is replacing so much talent. Get Marshall on the road back-to-back games. That's probably your toughest two-game stretch. But again, I think I have you guys favorites in both of them. This is. I'm not saying we're going undefeated, but I think we can go undefeated in the Sun Belt here because the Sun Belt is very, very gettable this year. And it's just going to be exciting to get those two games out of the way, or not out of the way, but play some of the best talent in the country at UNC and Texas A&M, two teams that have recruited very, very well. And then you get into the Sun Belt, and you should be rolling through the Sun Belt. And so App State's a team that 10-2 isn't crazy. A perfect in-conference record isn't crazy. Excited about this team. Chase Bryce is a good quarterback. You have a great running game to lean on. You got some guys returning on the defensive side of the ball who are studs. App State's a team to watch in the Sun Belt this year, and that'll do it for our 2022 season preview on App State. Again, I appreciate you guys checking us out, and if you guys do like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.